Hi, this is John. So we're now at the end of April. It's the 28th of April 2023, and this is our maize crop, which is looking pretty miserable now. As you can see, we planted late and it hasn't come to much. What happened basically was we had a very wet January and February, so these fields were really waterlogged. We struggled to get in to control the weeds, and then from the end of February pretty much until today we've had virtually no rain. There was one good shower about 2 weeks ago, yeah, but really the maize suffered seriously badly during that March period, especially because it was now coming up to the flowering period. And as you can see, it's very short. The crop development has been very poor, and we're not going to get much out of this at all, unfortunately. But that's the way farming goes. We took a risk, as I said in my earlier videos, of planting late like that in the end of December. It's not the ideal time to plant maize in this part of the world, and the drought in March was very serious. You know, these soils are very sandy. They can go from waterlogged to droughted in 7 to 10 days, and when you have 4 weeks of no rain, it really causes the maize to suffer. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing. There's a lot of weed growth in here, but yeah, we'll get a little bit out of here, a little grain which we can use for our chickens. But yeah, generally speaking, this is disappointing, but that's the way things go in farming. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And this season we took a risk, and we are not going to win out of that risk. I just wanted to show you this little patch of pigeon pea that we planted. I had a bit of seed that I'd collected at my house and grown it out on a few square meters, and then we planted it here at the end of December, early January, which is really too late for pigeon pea planting, but it's actually come to something. It's got some flowers here, and we'll get a bit of seed, I hope, out of it. So that's the main thing. If I can get some seed out of this, it's an early maturing pigeon pea. It was really just a bit of a seed bulk that I was doing here, so I'm pleased to see that we should get some seed out of this. We had a bit of late rain about 2 weeks ago, which I think has helped this, and I think the subsoil is fairly wet, so this pigeon pea should set some seed. Hopefully there's seed in there, and hopefully we'll get something out of it, enough anyway to replant in this coming season. Pigeon pea is a very good legume to interplant with maize, so that's my intention, that this will be used next coming season to alley crop this in our maize. So here's another sad story, so to speak, from our seasonal experience. This is where we planted velvet bean on a fairly wide spacing, hoping that with the rain and the season we would get this fully covered with velvet bean, because it is a very trailing species. It can a vining species. I've seen it grow right over sort of on this spacing. But like I said, we planted this end of December, very wet January, February, dry March and April. So it really only had 2 months of reasonable growth, but on very wet conditions. And here it is. It has flowered to some extent, and there are some pods around. So again, we can gather some seed out of this. And we've got a little bit of green here, which we can put the cattle in the next month or so to pick up a bit of green out of this. But yeah, disappointing again, like some of the other experiences we've had this summer. Not too exciting, not what we'd hoped we'd achieve. But that's a learning experience, and we'll keep pushing in the coming season. over there. I'm not sure you can see it, but the sunhemp did quite well, and so did the lab do reasonably well, but again, not the way we would have liked it. So we just keep trying, and trying to build these soils with the legumes and a mixed cover crop type scenario to get going. But this coming season, yeah, we hope that we'll get organized over this coming winter, get everything ready so that when the rains do start in November, we'll be ready and we can plant on time, unlike this last season where we were late with everything because of the nature of the situation, and we got planted late and so on. But no worries, this is what farming is all about, an experience, and we'll make something of it. Here's the lab. You can see it's grown quite well. It's yeah, it's okay. We'll get a bit of seed out of this as well. You can see the seed pods there, as long as they don't get too sucked dry by these insects that you can see on here, which suck the sap out of the pods. And over there is the sun hemp, which did very well, really. So I'm happy with the sun hemp. And so we'll get a little bit of legume back into the soil, not much, but something to start with. You will recall, if you've been watching these series, that we laid out this 6-hectare field in 1-hectare blocks with a 5-meter grass strip in between each block. And in the grass strip we planted trees and grass and legumes to try and form a sort of living contour, so to speak. Well, the trees generally have taken quite well. Here's one of them. They're acacia trees. They've established, and next to that you can see the bracharia grass that we planted. And there's a legume in here. This is green leaf desmodium next to that bracharia grass. So the grass is here, the legume is here, and the trees are also established there about every 10 meters. Here's another tree that we planted. So they established. They didn't grow much. They were just putting their roots down and getting themselves in place. So what we'll do on these strips, I will cut down the grass. Here's another of our trees, acacia trees, with some bracharia grass, and by next summer, when the rains come again, they should grow really nicely. One of the things we also did plant in here was tephrosia. You can see that tephrosia plant there. They actually survived fairly well. We planted that by seed. The grass and the desmodium we planted by cuttings. But the tephrosia actually established reasonably well from seed. We also planted leucaena and acacia angustissima by seed. But they just struggled so much in that wet weather, and I haven't found any that have survived so far. They were very small and didn't really get established. Talking with Sebastian Scott the other day, he was suggesting the best way to establish the leucaena would be to plant a nursery, and then once the trees are about 50 to 60 centimeters with a pencil like stem, you then dig them up, trim the roots, trim the stem, and transplant them. So that's what I'm going to do over this winter. I'm going to establish both leucaena and angustissima seedlings for planting in a hedgerow along these grass strips, and also most likely as an alley crop system in our maize. There's our pigeon pea again, which is amazingly, I didn't think it would get to the stage. We'll get a bit of seed out of that, which is great. So that's our grass strips. Nothing great to show you at this moment, but at least, you know, we're on the road, we've got things established, and with the years to come I expect we will see improvements. Thanks for watching. Bye.